You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, Mrs. Walker?
What's up, man? How are you?
Outstanding. I was about to say, what's up, girl? But I made a promise to you that I wouldn't do that. Because
well, you
it's so
can
natural.
Yeah, that's fine when you say it like that. But when you call me it all weekend, it's like, what's going on here? Like, why am I the girl all of a sudden?
Two things you don't like is what's up, girl, or what's up, homie?
Yeah, well, no, I don't like what's up, homie, either. But I mean, sometimes, don't get me wrong. Now, you
it depends on what we're doing.
I'm okay with that. He knows when he's pushing my buttons and he's saying, so, "What's up, homie?" Like
the face. It's the face for me, as my sister would say. It's the face. I got a question for you.
Go ahead, baby.
What are your 5 daily habits?
5 daily habits.
Don't say brushing your teeth is one of them.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I only got 4. So my daily habits have changed due to some back issues that I have, right? And so it used to be very spot on, but it kind of got mixed up. But definitely, I still definitely read, meditate, do gratitude.
Real quick, what do you read?
I read all kinds of things, honestly.
Okay.
So I used to read only motivational things in the morning. Now I'll probably read about 5 pages of that, and then I'll still read another book, which is not motivational, which is some kind of like drama or something.
Okay.
Something that's just like interesting, but it's reading. And then meditate. I'll try to meditate before you wake up, or with you when you wake up, which is cool either way because I can get a double, and that's fine. Or I'll do like some breathing exercises, or definitely just some like energy work on myself is one thing that I'll do. I used to.
That one's new. That's different.
Energy on my work. I mean, energy work on myself. I used to do all the time. It's just something you don't really
as
like,
a daily
share.
habit.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. There's like certain things that you're to do to continue and to keep yourself like in balance. So started back up doing that. Stretching. I used to stretch more. I used to do yoga, like a sun A or a sun B every morning, run myself through it. And that was pretty cool. But now I can't really do much stretching. And then journaling. I used to love journaling. And I don't know, it's so weird. As soon as I decided I wanted to start writing, I just went blank. It's weird. And I think that's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, writing is coming. I'm coming against that.
So meditate, read something. Heal yourself,
energy work,
breathing exercise, and what's the 5th? I heard two things that you used to do.
Well, that's what I got. That's what I was thinking. I was
okay.
like, I was like, I don't know if I have a 5th one, but those are 2 things. That
So brushing your teeth was a 5th one.
It wasn't, but when you mentioned it, I was like, I could slide it in there. What are yours?
So my daily is meditate, like you said. Either we meditate together, or if you're not upstairs, then I try to wait for you. I'm like, man, she take forever. So then I'll hit the meditation, try and do it real quick, so you don't feel like you're disturbing me. Sometimes I wish you just hop in, like, oh shit, I'm gonna just hop in with you on the meditation.
I think that sometimes, but I'm like,
no, it's not nothing wrong with
disturbing.
That. And our meditations are typically 30 minutes, and sometimes shorter, right, depending on what the day looks like. Then I read affirmations, and my routines are not all done in like at the house. Like it'll roll over into the office. So when I read my affirmations, that's at the office, and then I write my goals at the office. I sleep. So in my morning is not all my routines either, because then I have my afternoon joints or my evening joints, which I sleep with affirmations. So like every night I go to sleep with either some type of healing music, kind of like what you said, or some type of affirmations when I go to sleep. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, And shit, all I got is 4. Journal used to be, I'm not as consistent with journaling like you said. I used to journal every single night, or every single morning, but ain't been that consistent for whatever reason. And we're talking about habits, and these are like positive habits, right? But these are the things that got us to where we are. Legitimately, I feel like when we took on these different habits in the morning, we were so committed.
Yeah, and as I was going to say, it's funny, when you brought up daily habits, I automatically went to morning habits, right? And it's like, the rest of the day, what, because it's like, I guess there's tons of things that you do throughout the rest of the day. And then I actually taught the Savers habits to the San Diego's women and children's shelter. And I did that for about 2 months. And I taught them the Savers, which are script, which is to write, just to journal out what's in your head, affirmations, which is to say affirmations, write down affirmations, listen to affirmations, visualizations, visualize yourself in different situations or wherever you want to see yourself, exercise, and read.
And when you did that was pretty dope, because that was right out of the book, The Morning Miracle.
Yes.
And you actually sought out the author, hit him up like, yo, is it cool if I teach this?
Yes.
And he was like, hell yeah, that's cool.
I was given the rights to teach that class.
He responded. He wasn't like,
that was
I'm too big. Like, don't teach my shit.
I hit him up on, I found his information and I emailed him and he emailed me right back.
Yeah, that's way dope.
Yeah.
So what is the important, like, when you talk about habits and routines, because you have good ones, you have bad ones. And like you said, you have some all day ones. And you also have some habits that we talked about that, when you come home from work, what's the first thing that you do? For me, when I come home from work, especially depending on, I'm lying. Let me scratch that from the record. It ain't depending on the day. If it was a good day, if it was a bad day, and if I got something in the cabinet, I'm going to take me a little sip of something.
That's not the first thing you're going to do. Your habit is coming in the house and adjusting everything. I wish you guys could see if you're listening. But if you're listening, let me speak to your ears, okay? Imagine someone walking into the house and literally moving every single thing to the exact point where they perhaps wanted it, even if it's something as simple as my wine glass that's on the table and it should be here and not there. So first he does that.
Mm-hmm. I put my house in order. Yes.
Even if it's a tiny little bit of order, then yeah, he does.
1,000%. Yes. I put my house in order. Then once my house is in order, then I can feel like I can relax in my space. Okay. And then I twist the cap and pour me up something.
Okay.
On the rocks.
And it's funny because first thing I do is take off my shoes, which is why we have a shoe box right next to the door. Because as soon as I walk in, I'm like, boom, boom, done with those, and then go in. And then usually I'll go right into like kitchen stuff. Yeah. It's like, okay, what's for dinner? Because I like to just get all that started and then have a glass of wine and chill.
Yeah. But yours is like you'll start cooking with your coat on.
Yeah, well, it's like my sweater, okay, guys, and I'm like always cold.
Coat. Like
well, I'll pull everything out. I'll just get it started. Yeah. I'm not gonna cook in a coat. I'm not chopping up stuff in a coat. I'm not doing that, you guys.
I'll be like, be comfortable, like get comfortable, and then get into it.
Yeah, but I'm like, once I get comfortable, then I'm like, I'm done. Cooking is work. I'm working. Like that's not comfortable. I'd rather continue the work and then be done. So that's how I feel.
Do you feel like your habits have gotten you to certain levels and certain things, like things that you were shooting for? Was it because of habits that got you there, or was it because of it just fell in your lap? No,
definitely. Definitely everything that I've ever gotten, I feel as if I worked hard for it. Whether it be the many careers that I've had, I never ever was given anything. Nothing was laid in my lap. I always made a habit to work hard and to work a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I think those are one of the habits that paid off. Even when we were talking about this show and the different habits, the first thing I wanted to talk about was like all my bad habits, like this and that, and I'm like, you know what, that's I have a habit of saying thank you and please a lot. That kind of gets on people's nerves. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a real fucking habit. Like I do. It's like legit. I will thank you to death. And because I'm very gratitude.
Not thank you and please. It's sorry. You say sorry. Yeah,
I don't say sorry so much, but it would be like, I used to, but I don't say that as much as that was probably a couple way years ago. But yeah, I'd be like, I'm sorry, you know,
Exactly.
if say if the waitress comes and they get my food wrong, then I'd be like, oh, like, I'm so sorry to inconvenience you, because I don't want to inconvenience them, you know what I mean? And I was like, Tommy's like, don't be sorry though, and I'm like, oh, I don't mean it like that, but yeah, so that is something.
Thank you, and please shouldn't offend anybody.
No, but be like, gosh.
and then you would say, thank you, but no thank you. Mm-hmm. And I'll be like,
I still say that, right? Yeah, thank you, but no thank you.
I'm like, you kind of accept it, but then you reject it.
Well, because I mean, it's like, thank you for the gesture, but nope. I don't want it. You know what I mean? It feels like,
it's like they got here, it's like, oh, she wanted it, and then you say, nope, it is like, oh, she don't want it.
But she didn't want it so nicely, right? Yeah. Like, I didn't want to just be like, no, thank you.
Oh no, they receive it. They receive it very well.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just feels better. I don't know. It feels like a better blow.
Do you remember when we first learned about habits?
Let's see. I want to say it was like the 7 Habits, right? Was it Stephen Covey?
Yeah, Steve. Yep.
Yeah, it was like sharpen the saw. It was.
I wouldn't expect for you to remember them all at the top because I don't remember.
Well, I used to have them on the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we used to read them all the time.
Yeah. So it's like, you don't remember?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but that goes into my point of like how serious we were about our habits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we first learned about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
only things that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Stephen Covey. Sorry. And then it was the Morning Miracle.
See, look, sorry.
Yes, as she said, that was years ago.
Sorry.
5 minutes.
Okay, so go
but
ahead.
those 2 books is where we learned, like, all right, we need to switch some of our routines and be more on purpose.
Yeah.
So I feel like when we learned about habits, positive habits, and that's the thing, we identified things that was not getting us to where we wanted to be, and then we started doing things that were more on purpose. So
yeah, definitely.
Everything from getting up early in the morning to you know, exercising, whatever the case may be, whatever worked, we tried it.
Yeah, definitely. And in my yoga practice, it helped me to learn how to control my emotions, which I had a habit of running off with them, right? Which thanks. Which I didn't understand was something that you could control. And I always say, like, man, how does that person control it? It's because that's the fuck they want to do, you know? Like, they could do whatever they want. They don't have to control those emotions. They could get all crazy and wild too. They don't, though, you know? And it's like, oh, so if I kind of take a breath back, like, what can I do to control these emotions? So that was the next thing, right? But that's what I learned in yoga. It was, how do you control these emotions?
Yeah. Okay, so that would go into the mind shift. Like, so it helped your mind shift as well. Definitely. And that's why you was doing the yoga moves in the morning, and you was going through those flows, because then not only did that help you with your movement, but then mentally it put you into a new space. Yes. That's pretty dope. And one of the things that we've learned, that when we started doing those different habits, because it wasn't like we did everything. It was like, all right, these are, like, we just read this book, let's implement. And then we implemented that for a few months. Like you said, for 7 Habits, we printed it, put it on a mirror, read it every single day. And then we read books like The Greatest Salesman in the World. Oh, yeah. There's different habits in there.
Oh, I want to read that again. That book just, you know, and even just talking about this, it brings me back to that. You know, life was so different, man.
That book does something for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, in the first chapter, now listen, this book, in the first chapter, it tells you to read that same chapter, what is it, like 14 times?
It tells you to read that one chapter for 30 days.
For 30 days, one chapter, I should know it by like the back of my hand, right? Because we did that, and you read it for 30 days, and in it says, like, straight up, like, as you read everything else, you're gonna feel the changes from you reading just this. And it was like, what? Like, you're reading it and you're just like, I don't understand none of this, right? And but then after maybe the 15th day, and you're just reading it and you're like, wait a minute, okay. And then when you're done and you read the first chapter, you're like, this is what it was talking about. So I think I'm definitely going to reread that book again.
That was a game changer because it was something that you could put into practice, right?
Oh, and you read it 3 times a day, wasn't it? We read it out loud once because I remember like religiously like reading it out loud in the morning, like okay, and that's definitely created a habit.
So what Danielle's talking about, you know, when you read The Greatest Salesman in the World, it right in the beginning it tells you don't just read through this book. Read each chapter for 30 days and then read each chapter 3 times a day.
Yep.
Read it to yourself and then read it out loud and then read it to somebody else.
Yep.
And maybe the third one we might be adding that. Don't quote me on that one
because we might be,
because it's always us.
Yeah.
We do it together.
Yeah.
So we read it to each other. And it was like you read that whole chapter or I read the whole chapter and that's how it synced in. So, and honestly, that's how we got results. Like those habits is how we got results.
That's real.
And if you think about any habit, right? Like we're talking, you know, right now we're talking a lot about the good habits, but even bad habits, you know, it's the same thing. If you, like I just talked about, one of my bad habits is taking a drink every single day. And I'm very conscious of that. Because then I start thinking about weight gain and I think about what it's actually doing to my body. No matter how much alcohol you drink, you know, none is ever good for you, but too much of anything is too bad. People get out of habit so quick because they're boring. So that's why you have these, like I can hear somebody, and I'm not saying anybody's ever told me this, but I'm always thinking of all the different ways that somebody could say, oh, well, I'm not a positive habit or I don't do all these things all day, every day because I would get bored. So I have to throw in a little something in there just to shake it up. And you're absolutely correct. Like habits can be boring. Probably why we don't do a lot of the habits, you know, it was like, all right,
it gets redundant.
It gets redundant, and then you start seeing results, and then you're like, all right, I got the results I wanted. Let me move on.
Like I'm good.
But you got it. But you always have to, you know, like in any sport or anything that you do, you have to go back to the basics, right? You have to go back to what got you here in order to, and you just evolve. Like it doesn't mean you stop those, you just evolve those habits.
Yeah.
So one of the things, like we used to get up at 5, 6, which now we don't. Well, you still get up early, but I used to be like avid. Let's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But for 12 years, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work.
Right.
Now I'm like, give me that extra hour or two. I'm like, I'll take that all day.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That's true. But that's not a bad habit though, right?
No, it's one of those things where you have to know what works for you because I'm not going to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning if I work until 11 or midnight.
Right.
Right. So it's like, if I get up at 7 or 8, then, you know, damn right I'm going to work till midnight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you know how you said habits evolve. You're right, because it's something that you start off small, you know, like no one started off a full-fledged like alcoholic, right? No, it takes a lot of years, you know, and you know, in my family, we has a lot of us that drinks, like everybody probably drinks, but they have a saying too about why they don't quit, because we're no quitters, you know, like
people love that. I'm not a quitter.
I'm not a quitter.
Such a wrong way to say that.
And it's only about bad habits,
exactly.
You know? Yep. It's never about anything good.
Because you'll quit anything else just like that.
Yeah.
Mr. I'm not a quitter.
Yeah, it's so true. But stuff like gambling, that's a bad habit that people get into that starts very small and I know because I had the monkey on my back before, but like I say not that bad, but you know, like, oh, I'll do a scratcher here or a scratcher there and then I'll win. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep on going.
You get juiced.
Yeah, or go to the casino a couple of times and win, and it's like, oh, but I never have a desire to like actually go to the casino. But if I'm invited, then I'll gamble. You know what I mean? But I could see, like, after winning some big wins, I'm like, I could see why people go back. Yeah. You know?
I'm glad you admitted to that, boy, because I was scared. I was like, oh, shit. Now, if you're a professional gambler, you know, make your money. But if gambling's a hobby, like I was like, oh boy, I don't know where this is going.
Or where it will end, right? Like, no. I've read a lot of stories about people that have gone. That's kind of crazy. So,
yeah. And if you look at, like, honestly, if you look at the crazy thing about social media. Like, we never really talk about social media, you know, a lot. But if you look at social media, it could kind of tell your habits.
Like it's a habit within itself.
Exactly.
If somebody's on there all the time, it's like you gotta have to be on social all the time. So I know.
It's like we always tell people, especially people that's striving to, do or be more productive or be more efficient. The first thing we tell them is turn off the notifications on your phone. If you get notifications for all your social media, for all your text messages, all your emails, turn all that shit off. Now, if you look at your social media and you look at your algorithm, and it's not a feed. Like if you look at Facebook, it says on there what your feed is, and then you can see what the new feed is, like the open market, basically, where you can see things of people that you don't like. Oh shit, I forgot I was friends with that person because I don't never see anything they post. But what automatically comes up is your algorithm. It's your habits. It's the things that you like. It's the things you comment on.
The things that you looked at.
The things that you look at
online.
Yes. So if you remove the physical, if you remove self from that and take a bird's eye view and look at your social media and just say, God damn, this is what pops up. If like for me, when I look at my news, what comes up a lot is CEOs like Elon Musk comes up all the time. I'm like, why the fuck does Elon Musk always come up in but because I clicked on something where he was doing Tesla, when he rebuilt in Texas, when he did something here, or if he did crypto, and now that's all that comes up. Cryptocurrency comes up a lot. Things that happen in hip hop comes up. Shit, you click on one thing about Will Smith and Jada, now that's only thing I see. That so look at your news, look at your algorithm, look at all the stuff, and that's legitimate. The first place where you can understand how your habits are working out for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what? I actually wrote down the Stephen Covey's the ones that I remembered, which was be proactive, think win-win, sharpen the saw, and put first things first. So I did write those down. So I did remember those. Those are I put those down as the habits of a successful organization, and I think that those are the things that has an organization. Those are habits that you should follow.
Trying to implement.
Yes, and like things like sharpen the saw is basically just keep all of your skills sharp, right? Yep. Stay studying, which is something we implement. Think win-win, like how can we all win, right? Which is how that's something that from the organization, even just to life that you can have. Put first things first. Was that one? Because I was like,
yeah, okay, yep, that was one.
And then be proactive, right? Which is just
take action. Yeah, that's 1,000%. You got to take action. Thoughts is another thing. So the thoughts that legit, whatever you think about, that's a habit. And if you think about those things all the time, they eventually happen.
Yeah.
Like if you're scared of something, like let's say you're scared. Danielle used to be very fearful of our kids walking down the street at night, or
here we go.
No, legit. If you ask any one of our kids, especially our oldest daughters, because they was all scared too. And I used to always say it's okay, everybody's not out here trying to snatch kids up. So you was very overprotective.
I taught them stranger danger, and I taught them
which was cool.
Be protected of themselves because men will take advantage of them.
Yeah, but I was feeling like you was more like a Ned Flanders because we were walking down the street, and the girls would be terrified of somebody else walking down the street.
They want to cross the street?
Yeah, they want to cross over. I'm like, why?
I didn't tell them that.
Because somebody is coming down the street. But all that to say is, if you have in your head that something's going to happen to you when you're out in the streets, eventually something's going to happen to you when you're out in the streets. That's all I'm saying. So what you think about legitimately is what you bring about.
Yeah.
So if you're one of the ones that always has a shitty day, or you're always broke, or you're always whatever, then pretty much that's think about that. I'm always having a fight, or shit is always this. It's if it's always like that, it's because you always think like that. Now imagine if you flip that. I always work out. I always get what I want, in life. I always work hard. I always get the promotions, the raises. My business is successful.
Yeah, so now you're talking about people changing their feedback loops, right? So These are things that they've told themselves years and years, or these are things that people told you about yourself, right? So it's like, ooh, you always do that when someone comes around, or you're always these are things that you may not even have like create it yourself. This is something that someone else put on your shoulders, probably about because of their bullshit that they're dealing with, and they gave it to you, and you picked it up without even knowing, and now it's your thing, you know. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to change that loop and into a positive one, because usually the feedbacks are negative, right? Instead of positive, and we repeat those negative thoughts over and over, and we repeat those thoughts that other people have told us over and over, and things that we've kind of internalized and made like us. It's like crazy, but yeah, we have to change those feedback loops that we have. Another one is living within your means.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. I think that's a bad habit that some people have, living above.
Especially depending on how you grew up. Yeah, 1,000%.
And then with the way that social, like you brought up earlier, is the way social is now, people want to show this or that, or, you know, and I really shy away from showing things. It's like, you do, like, I want to show, like, oh, look what somebody bought me, or look at this, or look at that, or, but it has to be genuine, you know. It can't, like, I don't know.
It has to be more inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And it has to be within my means, you know what I mean? So I think that a lot of people show a lot of things that just perhaps are not within their means, which makes other people want to do things that are not within their means as well.
1,000%. We see that within our kids all the time, because they talk about them like, are you serious? Like, first world problems, like we always say. And more is caught than, and back to what you were saying before, more is caught than taught, right? So it's like they're catching this, like, because we didn't teach them that, but they're catching it. You know, that's real shit.
Yeah.
So how do you break? You know, so let's say you took the bird's eye view. How do you break those habits? Or not even
before
break?
we get to the breaking, how do you form a habit? Let's talk about that, and then get to the breaking of it, right?
So forming a habit is literally something that you do every single day. Now, how to get into that? All right. So I'm glad you said that. So it's not about breaking habit, but it's about the implementation of different or new habits, right? Because this is not, you know, we ain't trying to say you should stop drinking or stop doing whatever you want to do.
Some habits need to be broke too. We can talk about that, but
for sure. Or you could go to talk to a professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for us, for a positive habit to be implemented, what we did was we put it on our calendar. And it's funny how, to do something positive, you have to put it on your calendar. But to do something that's going to fuck you up over time, you don't got to think about that shit.
Yeah, that's true.
It automatically
if I
happens.
want to smoke, I'm going to smoke. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be reminded. No. Yeah, that's true. I read a book, it's called Addictive, I want to say. And that's what the dude say. He said, you know, no one ever had to remind me to do drugs. I just did that. Like,
real shit. On my calendar, it doesn't say happy hour.
It's going to happen. A happy hour is happening.
But you know, it's on my calendar, going to the gym. And then when I get that little ding that says you got 10, 15 minutes to go to the gym, then it's like, oh shit, all right, I got to pump myself up for it.
And that's great, right? Because to start that habit, to go to the gym, there's certain things that you have to do, right? I started working out a little bit and then got into it. And from there, I started feeling better about myself. It's like, that's the kind of, it became a habit, right? And started eating better. And then from there, you want to do even more things like, okay, well, let me run a 5K, right? So then I started running 5Ks, and it just became this journey.
Yeah, so that's real talk. Is like, the more healthier you got, or the more you worked out, or the stronger you got, the more other things you want to do, and which, like, it wasn't my desire, but I supported you.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's pretty dope. For me, I just got stronger because I just wanted to be stronger. But you wanted to go out, and it was like, I want to be a part of something cool. So
well, because after working out, it was like, well, I was a runner at heart. Like, I love to run, and I always ran. So now I actually had the knees to run. You know, and I thought, honestly I thought I had bad knees, right? I thought I had bad knees, and I don't. It was my weight. And so I was like, I can't run because of this, and it was not that. It was because of my mind thinking this, you know. So it was most definitely me, not that. And then another thing, it takes 21 days to develop a habit, right?
Facts.
So anything that you do, and which is why in the book they said to read it 30 days, right, consistently. But anything you do for 21 days, they say, becomes a habit, right?
Yep.
So
that's real talk, and people always ask us like, yo, so like, how do you do this, or, you know, what did it take to do this? And we're literally talking about it right now. Like, we did stuff like read a book, one chapter, and it's not like it was a short book either. So I think it took us like 6 maybe 7 months to get through that book because you know what I mean. Like it was a while.
Yep.
And in some chapters we were like, all right, I think maybe we could fast track this.
Yeah.
But then sometimes we was like, all right, maybe we should go back and kind of
read this over. That one. Yeah. That's very, very
so actually,
true.
Actually, I think it was more than that. I think it was like a year for that book.
Yeah, it was. It took us a minute.
And so back to what you're saying, it's the little things, right? It's the little steps. So you talked about first you buy clothes. And then you go for a walk, and then that walk turns into a jog, or whatever the case may be. But it's little things that you practice every single day. And unfortunately, good habits in order for us to have good habits, we need to be reminded of them. Yeah. So write it down, or print it, put it on a mirror. People always talk about this. Put it on your mirror. Just put it somewhere where you look every single day. Yeah. If it's on a mirror in your bathroom, if it's on a refrigerator, we have a board in our bathroom that we look at every day when we brush our teeth.
I put mines on so when I wake up, there's a dresser on the side of my bed, and I taped mines to that dresser. Yep. Remember that? Yep. So every time I wake up, literally that's the first thing that I see. So there was that. And then to stop a bad habit. So first off, you have to decide, this is a bad habit. I think I should stop. And I will say a bad habit that I have is, one, not turning on a blinker. Very bad habit, right? It's like, okay, I should turn on a blinker.
While driving?
Yeah. I kind of like, because I'm like, if I turn on my blinker, I think people purposely don't let me in, but so that's just like a bad habit, right? But I know that's a bad habit, so I decided to stop, right? But if a serious bad habit like smoking, right? First you have to decide to stop, and then you have to set yourself up. Right. So that means don't buy the cigarettes, the vape, or whatever it is. Don't keep that in the house. Take it all away. If it's snacks, right? Like, oh, I'm a snacker, right? Like, take all that away. Take all the temptations away, right? So then you don't have the temptations. And then you have to set yourself mini rewards, right? So you don't have, say, if you're the snacker, you don't have the chips in the house, right? But you went a whole week with no chips, then you go to the store and buy a bag of chips, and you eat those. You eat the hell out of those chips, right? Like, I don't know.
or you eat chips. You eat 3 of them and throw the rest of the bag away.
Yeah, you do whatever feels good, but it's your mini reward, right? Yeah. If you smoke the hell out of that cigarette or whatever it is, and then you enjoy it. But you give yourself rewards. Another thing that you can do is pick something to kind of replace it. So if you so it's like if you smoke, you eat sunflower seeds instead, because it kind of keeps your hand and your mouth active, right? So it's like sometimes, or most time, people are used to this action. The action I'm giving, if you're not watching, is the hand hand to mouth with like wine or a cigarette or a joint or whatever it is, right? That's what you're used to. So it's kind of, you still get that same muscle memory, but you change it.
That's all subconscious stuff. So your habits live in your subconscious. So in order to change your subconscious, you have to work at it. Once you create that good habit, like Danielle was talking about, create a substitution, it takes time and practice. Be patient. Be patient, be consistent. Yep. And one day at a time. It sounds like an AA meeting, but it's legitimately one. And the other part is, you can't beat yourself up if you, like Danielle said, if you go out and you eat the bag of chips, but you get the big bag instead of the small bag. Like you got to do the stuff. If you're rewarding yourself, don't go above and beyond. Don't get the big $3-4 bag. Go get the 75-cent. Well, chips ain't 75 cents no more.
Reward yourself how you want to reward yourself. Do not let Tommy tell you how to reward. If that's what you want, if you used to eat the big ass bag every day and now you're gonna only eat one, then damn it, you eat that bag and don't feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's your reward.
Yeah, and break the break the mold of I'm always, this is always. Like, get out of that talk.
Yeah,
get out of that self-talk. And if something that you never do, or something that makes you feel uncomfortable, do that. And that's how those habits start to mold. Yeah. Yep. So that shit is dope. Be consistent and practice.
Yeah, I love it. Motivation is what starts you, and then habits is what keeps you going. Jim Rohn says, which is one of my favorite people.
My man, Jim Rohn. I wish we picked him up years ago.
I know.
But when we did, it was cool.
Yep.
I love you.
I love you.
This is Lyfe and Shyt.
Lyfe and Shyt.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.